What's going on, guys? I'm back with another 31 Days of Halloween review, and today we're going to be doing the brand new movie that just came out, Terrifier 3. Right from the start, I probably had one of the worst movie theater experiences watching this film, but let me explain why. So there was a guy sitting in front of me, 2 seats over maybe, that was texting on his phone and scrolling through Facebook with his brightness all the way up on his phone. Then he had 2 couples on the side of me that were pissed drunk, just laughing at absolutely nothing the entire time. So it was tough to really enjoy the film for what it was meant to be. So if it come off as hating on this film, I apologize. My experience was completely tampered with. Truth be told though, annoying audience or not, the Terrifier trilogy as a whole is a pretty mixed bag for the most part, but for me, it's certainly a guilty pleasure. It's definitely not going to blow your balls off, no pun intended, but if you're into the extreme gore and just slashers in general, you can definitely find enjoyment in this installment. I feel like everybody watching the film comes in knowing what to expect, and that's the Carnage Candy, and of course, Art the Clown himself. So with that said, this film certainly succeeded with that. The story is quite minimal, but as per usual, right? Ultimately just following the after effects of Sienna from Terrifier 2, but what the film did pretty good was blend both the first and second installment to birth its trilogy, making everything feel cohesive in a twisted way. Although there's certainly missteps all over the film, it's easy to appreciate the passion that went into making the film, having a great balance of both heavy kills and the supernatural aspect as well, but also tipping your cap to the special effects, makeup work, and even the small things like the set pieces, production, and costume design as well. So might as well we're on the subject, let's tackle the kills and special effects portions of this film. So off the bat, I am a slasher enthusiast, whether it's watching all 12 Friday the 13th films, all the Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, being a Halloween stan, but there's just something about the way Damien Leone handles his kills and especially the effects to his Terrifier films. Every slasher franchise has its trademark kill, or even kills, like the babysitter out of the window in Child's Play, Jason freezing that broad's face in Jason X and smashing it to bits on the table, Michael melting that broad's face with the scalding water, but what's different about Terrifier, not only do they get better, but they're rather consistent and creative as well. Nothing could top the handsaw kill in Terrifier 1, or even the teenager's room scene in Terrifier 2. You need to have some sort of twisted brain to think about how these deaths are going to happen, because some, and probably even most, are absolutely gut-wrenching. When the actor to your main slasher film needs a break in between sets because he's feeling sick, you know you're a twisted lad. The first Terrifier really sets the groundwork for the rest of the franchise, so all credit goes to that film, but what Terrifier 3 did well was not just throwing kill after kill at you, but adding substance to their kills, while still having a fair amount to give you what you came for. Each kill was so memorable, where for my money, it absolutely solidifies Art as a slasher icon already. When it comes to the special effects, as always, they were expertly handled, where there's times where you don't even know if it's real or not. You can't help but wonder how they were able to pull it off, and as mentioned, that's Damien Leone's bread and butter. There's definitely some hamming up going on with the amount of blood that gets included in some of the kills, but when you take yourself out of analyze mode, you can very easily enjoy and appreciate how well done the effects are, on top of the well-handled sound mixing. The other impressive bit to all of it, and maybe even the most impressive of all, is the makeup work. A lot of the time, you can't differentiate what's what, where they've had some of the best people in film handling their makeup. Just a little side note, one of the cooler yet subtle bits of the entire film was the nods to the other horror classics and other films in general. You had a clear nod to The Shining in this film, as well as Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, and many, many more, which I found really, really cool to be honest. One thing I did notice that they took a clear step up in was their cinematography and shot selections. Not that the other two were bad, but they were somewhat bland from a critical standpoint, but with Terrifier 3, I noticed quite a few decent shots, especially some wide takes, were helping enhance that 80s retro grainy feel they were going for, accompanied by the score as well. Also, while we're on about the improvements from the other films, I thought the pacing was much better. Terrifier 2 was dreadfully long, but if I'm honest, I really didn't mind all that much compared to everybody else. But when you call it a spade, it was beefed up way too much for a slasher, where in this film, they did a much better job with the edits and cutting certain scenes down. With Terrifier 2, I feel they just didn't really know how to end it, but with this one, they did a better job trimming some of the fat, although 2 hours is still a bit much for a slasher, but again, I didn't really mind it all that much. When it comes to the characters, outside of the kills, Sienna is the living and breathing reason why this and these films work the way that they do. Outside of Art the Clown, she is by far the best written and acted character, while certainly having the best arc as well. You can certainly tell she really cares about this franchise, giving her all every single time out. But, as mentioned, although Bro doesn't have a single line of dialogue, Art the Clown is certainly the selling point to these and this film. David Howard Thornton is just fantastic with this role, expertly handling his expressions to give this character so much personality. A lot of the time, the mute characters don't really work for me personally, like say Jamie in Halloween 5, but man, his expressions do all the talking to where if he did talk, I feel it would be a disservice to his character. I thought he was so damn funny in this film, where admittedly, I had about 2 to 3 gut laughs throughout the runtime, which was certainly unexpected but much appreciated. Although this film works for what it's good at, it unfortunately has a lot that it's not very good at as well. For starters, yes, it does explain a little bit on previous plots, but at the end of the day, this just felt like more of the same stuff you've already seen, just with a little bit different of a movie title. There really isn't much of a story to follow, and what there is for a story, it's pretty formulaic. To backpack off of that point, there's certainly a couple ideas here and there, but to me, nothing really went anywhere. During the first hour of the film, I was like, okay, we got the groundwork sorted, let's start building now. But it didn't really go anywhere far, ultimately feeling like a whole lot of nothing. The film feels like a sorry excuse for an unneeded fourth installment. My next issue is with the gore. So I don't completely fault it, because as mentioned, you come into this franchise knowing what you're getting. But at some points, you can almost feel like they overcook it a bit, coming off a little too much over the top, especially when you couple it with the sound mixing and amounts of blood at times. My next issue, besides Sienna, there really isn't any characters at all to get invested in or even reinvested in. Everyone is just either sidecasted, especially the brother, or just flat out bad, which is a letdown for me. I can certainly appreciate what they did with Sienna's character, but again, falls underneath the lines of being tropey, and I've seen it all before in other films. Another issue I had was some of the common sense issues, especially in that third act. I won't get into it because of spoilers, but wow, this film basically kicked its own ass with some of the easy mistakes it made that could have been easily avoided. In my last issue, which can come off more of a nitpick, is some of the editing choices. Again, I can appreciate cuts they made so we didn't get another 2.5 hour slasher film, but some of the cuts were a little choppy and rough. Overall, Terrifier 3 wasn't shit, but it also didn't blow the jocks off me. It's fine for what it is, but it doesn't really knock down any barriers. 4 out of 10 from me. Let me know what you think of Terrifier 3 in the comments below, and let me know what film you'd like to see me review next. See you guys on the next one.